Has this ever happened to you? You've been given multiple warnings about cleaning out your closet, cleaning out your clothes, and then out of nowhere, out of the blue, your wife throws away a bunch of your clothes.
Does this ever happen to you? Uh, yeah, see the prerequisite there would having the wife to be able to throw the stuff out of the closet. No, that hasn't happened. I'll tell you what I could use though, is
Mhm.
a wife to throw some of my clothes out. I have way too much shit, goo.
Do you just not know what to throw away?
I so here's my issue.
Yeah.
Forever, for 15 years now, I am constantly bouncing back and forth between an XL and a 2X. So I need to keep both wardrobes. So I have two full wardrobes of two different sizes, and it's a nightmare. And now I'm at the point where I have shirts that I bought, I don't know, 12 years ago. For example, I wore it the other day when I visited my friends at West Virginia University in Morgantown. I still have that t-shirt. I don't want to throw that away. That's a memory right there.
That's what I'm saying too. All my shirts are memories. And I went in there and now I have one drawer of shirts. And she said, okay, you have your tank tops here, you have your boy shirts here, and then you have a grown man shirts over here. And I'm like, where did all my other boy shirts go? I had a lot more childish shirts.
So you guys are also sharing a room in a closet, I'm assuming, so that's an issue.
Yeah.
I have to I need someone to come in and just throw out half my shit, and I won't even ask twice. I'll just deal with whatever I
Make
got
my
left.
wife, please.
Yeah, send her on over. Send her on over.
One of the shirts that she is getting rid of, which by the way, she said I have not worn in years. I had proof. I showed her our YouTube. I'm like, I wore this last week. But I'm like, my boxers shirt,
The red
my
one?
boxers podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she's like, they're not even a podcast anymore. I'm like, yeah, that makes
It's
it
a
better.
relic. It's
Yeah, it
more
makes it
valuable.
better.
Yeah.
So up on social media right now, hashtag save our boxers.
I'll tell you, when Marcus listens to this episode in 8 months and when Wes listens in 2, they're gonna be real upset about that.
Or when they see the hashtag save our boxers on social media with the 4 to 5 tweets, they'll know something's up.
One goo, three yeah. Goo. Jaws 3. Goo. King of Queens. Goo. Meryl Streep. Entertainment.
I'm Goo.
And I'm Mac.
And it is a Goo year. Goo us. So what do we goo? We give Goo a list.
Listen, I like giving goo, but it's been a bit of a dry spell for myself personally. I don't have a wife at home, so that's another perk you have there. Folks, today we are talking about our most anticipated 2024 movies. And this is like maybe the third year we're doing this. Originally we had just done the movie draft, but now we're like, hey, we can get another episode if we just do like a top 10. So here we
need
are.
content. We need content. And also, and you'll find out later because we're going to tell you our Goo year resolutions in Max Sack, but we need content. We need clips.
Goo, I want to give the folks what we did last year. Just a little recap of our 2023 most anticipated, and you'll have some splaining to do. So I'm glad you pulled your list.
Yes.
At number 10 last year, we had Dune Part 2. Didn't come out. No grade there. A three-way tie at 7. So 7, 8, 9. We had Barbie.
Yeah.
Well, credit to me because you're a big, stupid, dumb idiot, Goo. I had it 5th. You didn't have it on your list, Goo.
What can I say?
As a bonus to that, Goo, you'll notice here, we're only at 9 or / tied for 7. Oppenheimer didn't make our list because Goo didn't have it on his list.
That I will put my hands in the air and say, whoopsie.
I had it 7th.
Okay.
Also tied at 7.
That's not that great, by the way.
Fuck
Like
you.
7.
What do you mean? It's pretty fucking good.
It's not like I had it
You
number
gotta temper
1.
expectations of a fucking big epic 3-hour movie. Fuck you. Also tied with Barbie was Creed 3.
We're off to a hot start for 2024, by the way.
Creed 3 I thought was Mets and Mets. I didn't love it.
Yeah, so like I kind of like put where mine was. So I had it at number 9, and I said it was in the middle of the pack of my movies. It's literally like number 21 of the 42 movies that I saw. It's meh.
I liked it a little less than you, I think. I think it was barely passing. Number 7 also tied. Next Goal Wins, which I still haven't seen because everyone was so disappointed by it.
Maybe you just don't see it and you assume it was good.
Yeah, I might perpetually. That's just,
Yeah.
oh, I liked it. You didn't see it.
Yeah.
So what? At number 6 was Mutant Mayhem. I think I had it like 10th, but you had it like third on your list or something.
I had
like
a third
that.
on my list and it finished in my top 10. So that's a hit for me.
Yeah, I think I had it more in the 20 range, but it was a very good movie.
Mhm.
Number 4 was Renfield, which I think we're still higher on
First
than
off,
most.
you skipped Super Mario.
Oh, number 5. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 5 was Super Mario Bros. It did its job. I got nothing bad to say
It
about that
made
movie.
the most money on the year. It had the biggest profit. So Barbie technically made more, but they also spent more.
Yeah, I got nothing bad to say about that
Yeah.
movie. It did its job.
Yeah.
At number 4, Renfield, which still I think gave me the heartiest laugh all year.
I was like, credit to us for putting this at number 4.
Yeah,
I think we both had it at number 4, actually. So
I believe we did. Yeah.
it's upper middle of my tiering or of my list, but also I think that Cage delivered. Like Cage
Yeah.
was fantastic in that movie. And I think you're right. It might still have the biggest lulls of the year.
And that we also fell a little victim to us just finding out about that movie like a week before we did this list, so we were super jazzed up about it.
Yeah.
But again, I think I had it like 15th on the year. I still really liked it.
Mhm.
And then our top 3 were all comic book movies here. Number 3 was Quantumania, which is actually my number 1 most anticipated movie. And so when you frame it like that, I think it becomes a disappointment. Again, I still like that movie. It didn't have the highs it should have had, but I still thought it was a pretty good movie.
Are you going to nominate it at the end of the week for the Am I Dumb Award?
No, I'm still pretty comfortable with where
No,
I have it ranked.
so the Am I Dumb Award, we're not going to get into all the awards here. It's the movies that the critics didn't like, but you did.
Oh. I guess that's
believe
probably
Thor
in the running.
last year.
Yeah, I suppose that's in the running then. Good call.
Okay.
At number 2, Across the Spider-Verse.
By the way, you might need me to explain half of the awards to you.
All of them.
Because I was reading them, I'm like, oh, these mean 3 different things.
Across the Spider-Verse to me is the best movie of the year. It's a
Hey,
1A, 1B situation, really.
Yeah.
It blew my expectations out of the water, and they were pretty high.
Yeah, it is absolutely top 2, absolutely Mount Rushmore. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And then number 1 was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think we both recognize, though, and we'll talk about this a little bit when we do the 2024 list, that we realized that Across the Spider-Verse might have had a higher ceiling than Guardians 3. We were just so tied in to the conclusion of the
I'll
Guardians
say,
story.
but also it is a conclusion, is the third of a trilogy.
Yeah.
The satisfactor of that movie is high enough that it's succeeded in being number 1 for me.
Yeah, I don't think it was a disappointment whatsoever. So I think we can agree upon that.
All right, so without further ado, let's get to the top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024. I just hit the theme song. Mac has his finger up. What's up?
But first, Goo, a
Oh
little
my
clarification for the audience here. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is currently a TBD.
Yeah.
We're set to come out in March of this year. It may come out at the end of the year, maybe a December release. Because of the uncertainty, we're just not going to include it. But I think it would probably be number 1 for both of us.
I would say unless they animate it live, like as they are doing it, like as they are penciling it, we're not getting it this year.
Yeah. All right. So we'll toss that by the wayside there. So if you're looking for that, asking where that is, there's your explanation.
At number 10 for the most anticipated movies of 2024, we have a 3-way tie.
For 10, 11, and 12. So our top 10 here is a top 12. Classic Mac and Goo. Goo, I'll let you take this one here.
All right, so at number 10 or 12, 11, whatever you want to say, is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This comes out on May 24th, directed by George Miller, starring Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa, and a real uggo, Chris Hemsworth.
I'm not looking forward to this at all. I didn't like Fury Road. Fury Road is going to go down like all time. In 30 years, I'll be needing explanations from people as to why Fury Road did so well critically and why so many people loved it. I just don't get it. It's a blind spot for me. And I know we all have those occasionally. But Fury Road, like, I thought it wasn't good. Never mind best movie of the decade. Just wasn't good to me.
I enjoyed it, and I enjoys really like the action sequences of said franchise. And although some people have pointed out that in the trailer they don't look as crisp or as they look more CGI now, that'll probably get cleaned up before they put it in theaters.
I maybe this is why I had such a bad taste with Fury Road. Again, you know me, I hate action for the sake of action, which is all that movie is. But the first 10 minutes of that movie, the CGI is so bad. And then it gets to a lot of practical stuff. But the CGI in the first 10 minutes is fucking horrific. It's really, really bad.
Mac, what else is
Goo!
tied? Yes.
Goo! Tied at number 10, a movie that you did not have on your list at all.
No.
I did include is a movie called If. If is coming out May 17th, directed by John Krasinski. If you haven't seen the trailer, it stands for Imaginary Friend. The synopsis of this: after discovering she can see everyone's imaginary friends, a girl embarks on a magical adventure to reconnect forgotten ifs with their kids. The voice cast for this is unbelievable. It obviously stars Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if he's the father of the girl or what. Kaylee Fleming is playing the girl. The voice cast, you have Steve Carell, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Louis Gossett Jr., Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Maya Rudolph, Jon Stewart, Sam Rockwell, Sebastian Maniscalco, Christopher Maloney, Richard Jenkins, Awkwafina, Vince Vaughn, Bobby Moynihan. To me, and I was thinking about this today, as I was a little disappointed in you not including it. I think that this movie, because it's going to touch home with so many people, it's a bit of a passion project for everyone involved, because a lot of people had imaginary friends, or a lot of people had things like that. So I think it's going to be handled with like the utmost of care. So I'm actually really looking forward to this movie.
I'll see it. I'm not expecting that much out of it. It seems more it seems like more flash than anything else. Like, here's all these names. Here's this this big idea, but I don't think it's going to pay off.
It may not. It may not. I recognize the downside of it. I just think the idea is so obvious. I'm kind of stunned that we haven't done this before. You know,
they have done this before. It was a show on Cartoon Network. It was Foster's Home of Animated Friends, whatever the fuck it's called. Imaginary Friends.
No, this is going to be much more heartwarming than that show was.
That show's pretty heartwarming. I'm pretty sure there was a little blue guy on that one. I'm pretty
sure.
Mac also tied at number 10. There's a three-way tie, of course. If you're just joining the program right now, if you just jumped into the episode, three-way tie at 10. Joker Folie à Deux, October 4th. Todd Phillips directing once again. That's obviously very important in a sequel. Starring Joaquin Phoenix, who is reprising his role as Arthur Fleck, unless they change. That'd be something silly right there. If they just say, this is a whole different guy, which could be a possibility.
He's wearing a hat and sunglasses. It's a whole new guy.
Lady Gaga is here as Harley Quinn. Zazie Beetz coming back as Sophie Dumond.
Sophie Dumond.
I'll say Dumond. And while I did not love the first one, I recognize as a great, like, well-acted movie. If you take all the Joker and Batman stuff out of it, it's a really good movie. I personally did not like it for how they played with the Batman lore, but this seems interesting because they might be singing.
I want to grab onto that point, Goo, the point that you're making. And then we did harp on that a bit when we reviewed the movie. I have a real issue with them sort of half-assing this Joker Harley Quinn lore. So he's Joker, but he's not Joker. He's this guy called Arthur Fleck that is kind of the Joker. But now they're bringing in legit Harley Quinn. So where are we drawing the line?
Is she a doctor in this?
On IMDb, she's listed as Harley Quinn. So I'm going off of that.
Because I don't think he has the personality to pull off Mad Love, because you need to have a certain je ne sais quoi. That is also French. As the Joker here.
Yeah, but that's I think I'm worried about that going in, because when they dip their toes in it with the Wayne stuff in the first movie, you're like, we don't need this. The fuck are we doing here? Like,
dip their toes in when he fingers Bruce Wayne's mouth in the first one.
Finger it, I should say.
Really, that was very awesome.
Oh, it's much better being a self-contained thing. So I don't know, but Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn is both the best and worst thing representing this movie, and that's also echoed here, Goo, because they haven't brought on a writer that has done musicals, so I think they're leaning on Lady Gaga, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. to do the musical aspect of this movie, and she absolutely crushed it in A Star Is Born. You know,
What if one of the songs is called, wait for it, Joker Face?
I think there's a lot of downside with this. So I had this, I think 14th or 15th on my list. You had it much higher. You're looking
What did
forward
I
to it
have it
more
as?
than
Like, I
you.
had it was like 10, right?
No, I think you
9?
had. I think you had it a little bit higher. I'm scrolling here. Yeah, you had 10. All right.
Okay, yeah, I had it 10.
Yeah, not
So,
too
like,
high.
I'm kind of higher, but also, if it was almost anyone else playing Harley Quinn, I don't know if I'd be this high. I'm just really interested, like, why do they have
No,
her?
that's the intriguing part for sure. And not for nothing, Joaquin Phoenix did give an amazing performance. I just hate that they're half-assing both sides of it.
Also,
It's really
not
bothering
stunt
me.
casting. I think she's actually a really good actress. I think
No, she's
in
great.
House of Gucci, she's fantastic in it. The movie's terrible. She's really good in it.
She was unbelievable in A Star Is Born. Obviously, she sings well, but she was unbelievable in that movie.
I
I thought
picked
she was
Gucci
Oscar worthy.
because she was also working with another Joker, Jared Leto. Gaga, they want to pass me a cigarette.
Goo! Coming in
Yes.
at number 9, and I'm not disappointed you left this one off, but the next one I am. We'll get to that in a second. I had this at number 5. Obviously, you didn't have this on your list.
What is this?
This is currently to be decided on the release date, but production has wrapped, so that's why I included it on my list because I'm pretty confident it's going to come out this year. This is a movie called Polaris, directed by Lynn Ramsey. If you don't remember who Lynn Ramsey is, she directed We Need to Talk About Kevin, but more importantly, You Were Never Really Here, which was the movie with Joaquin Phoenix in
Okay.
2017, I think. That was
Okay.
unbelievable. So good. One of my favorite movies of the last decade. So she's teaming back up with Joaquin Phoenix for this one. It is set in Alaska in the 1890s. And I believe Joaquin Phoenix is playing a photographer, and there's going to be some sort of like, I think, ritualistic devil-like imagery in here, which she plays with a little bit of the imagery stuff, and You Were Never Really Here. Co-starring Rooney Mara, she's spooky too. I think this is just going to be a really good movie. I don't know how well it's going to do at the box office, but it should be a great movie.
They said they wanted something spooky.
Goo, coming in at number 8. I think you're going to regret this one. Death of a Unicorn.
Mac, I'm never going to regret anything.
I don't know about that. You hold your tongue for 2 minutes and let me talk about this one. I have this at number 4, Goo. Number 4 in the Renfield spot from last year. You did not have it. TBD, but again, production is wrapped on this, I believe. A24 movie starring Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega as a father-daughter duo who accidentally hit and kill a unicorn while en route to a weekend retreat, where Rudd's billionaire boss, played by Richard E. Grant, seeks to exploit the creature's miraculous curative properties.
I don't mind.
I don't know where it's going to go, but you're telling me Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, A24. How is that not a success?
I'll tell you right now, this is better than F.
I had it higher than F.
And now I have it higher than F too.
It's also going to be starring Téa Leoni, who doesn't love her. I actually really love Téa Leoni. She should be in more things. I'm a fan, Goo. I don't know about you. You didn't say 2 words about Téa Leoni just now. Do you like?
You told me not to talk for 2 minutes.
Good point. Will Poulter in this, and also Anthony Carrigan. If you don't know him by name, he plays NoHo Hank. So that's always a positive. I think that's going to be like the recipe there. It's going to be weird, I'm sure, but I'm really, really looking forward to that. Hence it being ranked number 4 for my most anticipated.
Goose juicy 6-pack. You're like, wait a second. Wasn't that last one 8? Yeah, that's right. There's a tie for 6. At number 6, there's a tie between Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I believe I had it a little bit higher or lower than you, but that is because
we had it almost right in the same spot.
Okay, so the reason why I don't have it as high as, say, the other Planet of the Apes movies that have preceded it is because
you had it at 7, I had it at 11.
Okay, but it is a change of director.
Yeah, that's
from the last trilogy, and also he did the Maze Runner trilogy, not as good. It's coming out on May 24th, and it's set way, way in the future. Now, this does look very, very promising. If you look at the trailer, it still looks amazing. I don't want to go in with the same expectations that we had on the prior trilogy.
Yeah, the last 2 movies in that trilogy were directed by Matt Reeves, who obviously everyone knows from the Batman now, if they didn't already know him. I do like, though, that they're distancing themselves from that trilogy by setting it so far away and hopefully not really harping too much on the old stuff.
Yeah, and I believe one of the lines in this movie is, so when does Charleston Heston get here?
This is setting up or kicking off a new trilogy, reportedly, though.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, if you look at the Planet of the Apes trilogy, the first movie with James Franco is clearly the weakest, but that was still a pretty good movie.
That was a good jumping off point, though.
Yeah.
And then also, do you think they should have waited a couple more years between these movies?
I don't know, because the last one I think was 2016 or 2017.
Was it really that far back?
It was a while ago. Yeah. It was a bit
Mm,
of, it might have been 17, but it was quite a bit ago.
that's
Yeah.
not that bad.
Because
I would have said maybe a decade, but
yeah, 7 years I think is pretty good though, you know? I reviewed that with Marcouche on, the Boxers
oh, that's
podcast,
right.
actually. Yeah.
Hashtag save our boxers. Also at number 6, a movie that I am much higher on than Mac, and that is Ballerina, set to come out on June 7th. This is the John Wick spinoff starring Ana de Armas, directed by Len Weissman. Underworld, Live Free or Die Hard, Total Recall 2012. Those are not the best, but what are you going to do? And Keanu should be popping up. He's on the IMDb. Lance Reddick, Ian McShane
R.I.P.
also on the IMDb. But the whole thing here, I love the 4 John Wick movies. And if you're telling me we're getting a John Wick movie, but with Ana de Armas and a worse director, I'm in.
Yeah, I did have this on my list at 15.
Mhm.
So I am somewhat looking forward to it, only in so much that I want them to break the John Wick mold. I like, for the most part, the brutality of the John Wick movies.
Yeah.
I'm just over the John Wick character.
But
if
I
that
will
makes-
also say this is that I think 4 did a good job of doing less of the underground stuff. And you just had the one big bad guy. It wasn't like the
Yeah,
whole
that's
like
fair.
let's pass coins around.
I thought 4 was kind of boring.
I loved 4.
I loved the first movie.
Mhm.
And then each of the 3 movies after it, there are like 2 or 3 scenes in each movie that I really enjoyed, but it's just
Oh,
it's
that
too
over
much
the
for
head
me.
action scene.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great scene.
Also, like different movie, different franchise. But Ana de Armas in that Bond movie,
Yeah.
there's way too much time for me to die. She's great in that.
Yeah, so that's the real thing I'm looking forward to here is playing in that world, but not doing a Wick story. So bringing in Ana de Armas, who is probably number 1 on the planet, and she's shown she can do some actiony stuff in that Bond movie. And not for nothing, the Underworld movies did pretty well with Kate Beckinsale, a girl who is similar stature to Ana de Armas. So I think Wiseman can make that work. So I think, like, baseline, that movie is going to be pretty good. It's just how good will it be?
I don't think it'll reach like the critical praise that say the John Wicks did, because those are all like high 90s on Rotten Tomatoes, or like 90 and up.
Which, like,
even-
blows my mind, but I like, there's no story after the second one.
I was thinking,
There's
it's
no
like,
story.
no, I think 4 definitely had
Had
a
a
story.
better story than 3, but there's no real story there. It's the same
Yeah.
story from the beginning.
Here we go at number 5.
This is
We
mine.
both
Fuck
had-
you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you put yours in blue. All right,
Yeah,
fuck you. Go
come
ahead.
on. I
All right,
did
whatever,
the whole.
whatever.
I did a whole planning today, Goo. What the
You should have
fuck?
told me that ahead of time, as
What did
opposed
you
to coming
think
on
the
here.
blue meant?
I got the sniffles. That's
That's-
what Mac told
That was me.
Yep.
You would text me the last 3 days, how you doing? I would just send him a voice voice message. I got the sniffles. Going in at number 5, Goo. The Fall Guy. This is coming out May 3rd.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling stars as a stuntman who has left the business to focus on his physical and mental health, as many people maybe should do in real life. That's my New Year's advice to everyone. Go focus on your physical and mental health. He comes out of retirement in this movie to when the star of a big budget movie, which happens to be directed by his ex, goes missing. So essentially, he comes out of retirement to try to save this guy to impress his ex.
Mhm.
That's the premise of this movie. I think it's going to be very funny. This is directed by David Leitch, who did the first John Wick movie. He was uncredited. They only gave 1 directorial credit there, but he was largely credited to all the stunts in that movie. He's all fucking stunts.
Mhm.
He went on to go do Atomic Blonde, which was kind of underrated. That's a pretty good movie.
That's all right.
It's pretty good.
That's
pretty good.
okay.
It's pretty good. It's to me, it's on the fucking level as the second, third, and fourth John Wick movies.
I do not agree with that at all, but go ahead.
All right. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? He also directed Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, and Bullet Train. And I gotta say, Bullet Train is one of the more underrated movies of the last couple of years. I'm surprised that didn't do better.
Yeah, that got crushed. Like, that only got Roddy T's like a 60%.
Yeah, it was
or
like in
something
the
like.
60s, and it
and
was
like-
a fun ass movie.
Look, I don't like the last half hour or so.
The last like 15 minutes.
Everything leading up to that, though, is quite amazing. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
And I feel like if this movie has the tone of that movie, it's going to be a blast. So that's
Mhm.
why I'm really looking forward to this one. Some of the co-stars in here are Hannah Waddingham, Emily Blunt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Teresa Palmer, Stephanie Hsu, Lee Majors, and Winston Duke. So a packed cast. I'm very much looking forward to this.
Also,
movie.
biggest thing here for me is that Comedy Goss is back.
Comedy goss, baby.
Comedy
Woo!
Goss. Obviously, Barbie was fantastic. The Nice Guys, also great.
Yes. So I feel like
Yeah.
this is going to have a Nice Guys vibe.
Yeah.
That, and somewhere between that and Bullet Train is going to be the tone of the movie.
At number 4, the Mount Rushmore of 2024 most anticipated movies is from the twisted mind of Matthew Vaughn, Argyle. Coming out on February. How do you say February? February?
No, I say it like it should be spelled. February.
February.
I don't say it February.
No one says February.
I got the sniffles in February.
February 2nd, once again directed by Matthew Vaughn. This is an introverted spy novelist played by Bryce Dallas Howard is drawn into the activities of a sinister underground syndicate. This is starring Sophia Boutella. Of course, she is
She's
the star. She is the star of the world right now from Rebel
She's
Moon.
getting absolutely hammered by people online saying she was pretty terrible in Rebel Moon, which you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't know if she's ever been good because she's so outrageous in the other Vaughn movies. I don't know if she's ever actually been good.
She was good in Atomic Blonde.
She was solid in Atomic Blonde.
Catherine O'Hara, Henry Cavill, who appears to be, doing a lot in this. He's got a real bad haircut.
I love Henry Cavill.
Dua Lipa, who's doing a lot, and that could be the linchpin because I thought she was horrible in Barbie.
Because she had one line in Barbie,
and she couldn't do it.
Well, guess who's also in this that you didn't like in Barbie?
Who?
Look at the bottom.
Oh, John Cena.
John
Yikes.
Cena.
Yikes.
Team it back up.
Ariana Dubois, Bryan Cranston, Sam Rockwell, and SLJ, Samuel L. Jackson. This looks really fun. This looks much like Kingsman in that same Vaughn style.
Yeah, I think I am looking for. So I have in my personal list at 6, 7, 8, Argyle, The Fall Guy, and If. All three movies that I think could have big downside, honestly. Like all three could stink, but the fun factor in all three could be through the roof. I might be most worried about this, and there has been some chatter online about how terrible the trailer looks. I actually think the trailer looks like fun, and I sort of and these types of movies, that the fiction is going to meet the nonfiction at some point.
Yeah.
That like real life stuff is going to collide with the quote unquote fake stuff. So I'm looking forward to see how he does that. But at this current moment, I will let Matthew Vaughn do what he wants until he proves me wrong.
Because he is twisted as fuck.
Go!
Yeah.
Coming in at number 3, Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2.
Yes. This comes out March 1st, of course, directed by Denis Villeneuve. I think we can safely say that this is the movie that has the highest floor out of any for the year. Like, no doubt in my mind, this movie is going to be, at worst, really, really good, probably great, no matter what happens. All the backstories out of the way with that first kind of incomplete movie. It's the best director on the planet. Christ, I couldn't hit the mute button in time. It's the best director on the planet, if not top 2. And there's just so many. It's a bevy of stars. It's a beloved franchise. Like, I don't know how this movie fails. I really don't know. This is number 2 on my list. I think you had it 3 or 4.
And you also added bald baby Elvis.
Oh yeah, Austin Butler.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, is there a scenario where this movie doesn't do well?
No, and we'll get to this in the awards at the end of the week, but I completely trust in Villeneuve telling us that this is better than the first one. He's already he believes in this one even more than the first one. And the first one's not bad. It just stops.
Yeah, I'll say this, and this is, people always say this or have been saying about Across the Spider-Verse this year. To me, nothing fully satisfying happens in Dune Part 1. And across the Spider-Verse, there are many satisfying things, and it's more easy to eat an ending like that. And they do have somewhat similar endings. But across the Spider-Verse has like 2 or 3 things that happen in that third act that are super
Well,
satisfying.
Across the Spider-Verse also had the original Spider-Verse to set the table for it. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
but what I'm saying is a
No,
lot
but
of
I'm also saying like this wasn't the introduction or the reintroduction of the characters.
sure. I'm saying a
Yeah.
lot of people are comparing the two in that their endings are incomplete. So how could you love that movie? And what I'm saying is Across the Spider-Verse's highs are way fucking higher than the first Dune movie. I don't know how someone would disagree with that.
Yeah, but what about Idaho Potato there? Jason Momoa, who does that little stabby motion.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. I don't
Yeah.
remember a fucking thing about the first movie, by the way. I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
I know. I watched it on my phone while doing the Peloton. So exactly as cinema was meant to be taken in. I fell asleep a couple times trying to watch it, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's get to
On the
number
Peloton?
2. Yeah. Yeah, on the Peloton. No, prior to that. Let's get to number 2. And I would accept the case that this is number 1. Like, this is wildly intriguing. We've only gotten some stills. And that
I
is
only learned of this movie 4 days ago.
Mickey 17 coming out on March 29th, coming off the back, the hot stuff of Parasite.
I thought you
Bong
had a hairball
Joon-ho
there.
returns with this adaptation of an Edward Ashton novel, Mickey 7, about a clone who refuses to relinquish his gig when his replacement shows up. Very Looper-esque.
Yeah, similar vibe to that for sure.
This stars Robert Pattinson, Stephen Yeun, Naomi Aki, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. I am hard as a rock for this.
Parasite gives me so much hope for what Bong Joon could do going forward, and he has done stuff in the past.
Snowpiercer's good too. Snowpiercer obviously wasn't
Yeah.
like a world breaker. It's not
Right.
Parasite, but
I think if he had full control of Snowpiercer, that would have been way better.
Mhm.
I am so looking forward to this because this is going to be the first movie he's able to make coming off the back of the world fame.
and
So
he's got Pattinson.
he's got Pattinson who is playing the main character, and I think the idea is Pattinson gets sent off to this planet, dies, and then
Mhm.
they take his memories and put him in a clone, which is obviously will still be Pattinson. But I think that the first thing maybe not be dead. There's going to be a whole like spooky like replacement thing type vibes there, like sci-fi spooky stuff.
It's hard sci-fi. It's
and-
hard sci-fi.
And that's the best part about Parasite. Like that was sneaky horrifying because it was
Yeah.
so real and like
Mhm.
and level and like there was no big bad chasing people around. It was scary in the way that I find The Stranger super scary. It could happen tomorrow in any neighborhood. Now, obviously, this is sci-fi, but it's going to be brought down to a base level.
Mhm.
Plus,
Yeah.
obviously, you have Toni Collette in there, who's always great. Stephen Yeun, and you said Ruffalo as well. Like, I don't know if Ruffalo's ever been bad in a movie. Good. Ruffalo's
Mhm.
always good.
All right, before we get to the number 1 most anticipated movie of 2024, I don't know if you can guess what it is, knowing who we are, but let's get to some honorable mentions. Mufasa, the Lion King, and the reason why I am intrigued by this is I have said a couple times on the podcast, let me know when they're going to do some of the live action Disney sequels, and I will not go against my word.
This is going to be a prequel. In fact, it's going to be how
Prequel,
Mufasa
sequel,
came to
still.
be. So
Yeah.
somewhat an original story here.
Yeah.
So that's good. They can operate and do whatever they want. I don't know if I want it, but I'll watch it. I'm definitely going to see it.
Barry
that's for sure.
Jenkins. Why not?
Yeah, why not? You're right.
Godzilla X Kong divided by the new subtract empire. I
Little PEMDAS
like
for you.
these. I like these. I borderline love the Kong movie, and I've liked bits and pieces of the Godzilla stuff. So give me this. I like this.
It'll be watchable.
Yeah.
It'll be watchable.
Hey, want to get a nice sexy movie next year?
This just missed my list. This was
Yeah.
in consideration at the back end of my list.
Was it purely based off how sexy it looks?
Yes, I'm a fan of Zendaya. This is a sexy tennis drama called
Yeah.
Challengers,
Challengers.
which I
Very
might have
Y Tu Mama
drafted,
Tambien.
or someone drafted this past year, so that'll be keeper eligible for this
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah.
It got bumped off.
Civil War.
Yeah, I had this on my list in the bottom half. You had it on like your honorables or whatever.
Yeah.
This is Alex Garland, sci-fi, Jesse Plemons, Kirsten Dunst. I think it's gonna be really good. However, I'm like 50-50 on Alex Garland movies so far, so I might not like it.
A movie that I think will be on a lot of people's top 10s, and that is Nosferatu.
I don't know why we're doing it, Goo, though. You know? Why are we even touching it?
I mean, you got Bill Skarsgård. It's an Eggers movie.
I don't know why we need to touch it, though.
Willem Dafoe. Look, I'm a huge fan. I know
you can't replicate the time and place of that movie.
but people also like there's so many articles out being like, "Oh, Skarsgård, he's kind of scaring people by how much he's getting into being Nosferatu." And I'm like, the original actor who played the character filed his teeth into fangs. Like, I think he got into it too.
I don't know. Like the movie now, if one guy could do it, maybe it's Eggers. Like that movie shouldn't be good if it was made today, but it's good because it was made in 1921 or whatever fucking year it was. It's just leave it. I don't know why we got to touch it.
Shout out Max Schreck, by the way. That's the name of the actor.
That's right. Yep.
But also, let me ask you this. Do you prefer that or the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari?
Again, don't these movies, they're like there's probably, I don't know, 12 movies that every person ever that has studied film has seen, and these are two of them, Nosferatu and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Just leave those alone.
Oh, by the way, they're not making that. We're just mentioning it.
No,
Like,
yeah, just don't dive into those. Don't even try. Psycho's another one they've tried a couple times. Like, don't try with those. There's a reason why they get taught in film classes.
Also, shout out to SpongeBob, who had that great cutaway gag. I believe it was the Hash Slayer episode, and they're trying to figure out why the lights were flickering, and then they realized that it was Nosferatu doing it. Nosferatu. Also in the honorables is Mean Girls, which I believe is a musical.
Yep. So this comes out actually in like a week and a half. I'm very looking forward to this. I think I had it 9th or 10th on my list. You didn't include it on yours. So this is based off of the Broadway musical, which is based off the original movie.
But is it a sequel?
No. Nope. It's going to be essentially a similar plot to what the original movie was, but a sequel. Tina Fey's back, Tim Meadows is back, but most of the other roles.
Is it written by Fey?
I'm sure she's got a writing credit.
Okay, so like,
yeah, I'm sure she had a writing credit on the Broadway play as well.
That would be one of the reasons why I would still like it.
Yeah.
And also Tim Meadows is back.
Yeah, and there's a emerging star playing Regina George, Renee Rapp. She's all a buzz on the TikTok, so this might be a coming out party for her.
Hey, it's a lady. A Quiet Place Part 1. I have liked both of the Quiet Place movies. I like the first one more. I respect the second one for being 90 minutes long. So let's see what day one does.
Yeah, we both had this 13th, I think.
Yeah.
So both in consideration. I'm interested to see what other people were doing during this time other than the family we've gotten. And I love the first movie, borderline love the second movie. I love the idea of it. I just get really sucked into that world that I would be dead in one night because I snore, so I would not make it.
Spachemin.
I don't know how this didn't make your list, Goo.
A lot of movies.
Adam Sandler, dramatic role. How are we not all in on that at this point?
It's a lot of movies.
All right, coming to Netflix March 1st, I believe.
And then finally, a movie that I keep going back and forth on. Like, am I excited? Do I think we don't need it? And that's Beetlejuice 2. We're getting Keaton back. We're getting Willem Dafoe in this one, Jenna Ortega. So I'm going to say yes.
The only thing, and I think this is the best argument for it, the only thing is you can play in the underworld or whatever world they call it with Keaton the full 90 minutes or whatever, instead of playing in the real world at all. Just, we could have fun with this movie. I don't think it needs to be made, but there is some upside to it.
And coming in at number 1 as the most anticipated movie of 2024 Yes, we both had it at number 1, years in the making. I believe we haven't gotten a Deadpool movie in 5 or 6 years now.
18,
Yeah,
I want to
2018.
say, yeah.
Deadpool 3. Of course, this is starring Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Finally get them together. This is going to be, I think, what we expected out of Multiverse of Madness with all the weird variants. And they're going to have so much more fun with it. So much more fun with the Fox properties, with what they can do with the Fringe MCU properties. And this is exactly what we need. And also, it's the only Marvel movie coming out, which also might be exactly what they need.
Yeah, those are great points. This comes out July 26th, so right in the middle of the summer. It's going to make a gazillion dollars. I do want to go devil's advocate a little bit because the big budget Marvel movies the last couple of years have disappointed, say
Yeah.
Multiverse of Madness, Quantumania to a certain extent. There's some of that in the back of my head as well. But the fact that it's the only movie coming out for a while, the fact that it should be no holds barred, they should be able to play in every sandbox they've ever played in, so every character is in play. That should be good. Sean Levy directing, who he must just be a really good friend of Reynolds because everything he's directed the last 5 years has been a Ryan Reynolds thing. But the only thing he's really done that's like above, and even this, a lot of people didn't care for, was Free Guy. Like Free Guy, I enjoyed quite a bit, but he doesn't really have his mark yet. So I'm a little worried that's going to taint it as well. There are some. I could see this movie not being nearly as good as we're expecting. But if you're talking highest ceilings, this is easily number 1 on the year.
All right, and now the top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024, as according to Mac and Goo. Coming in at number 10, we have a 3-way tie between Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, If, and Joker, Folie à Deux. At number 9 is Polaris. At number 8 is Death of a Unicorn. Tie at number 6 between Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Ballerina. At number 5 is The Fall Guy. 4 is Argyle. 3, Dune Part 2. Number 2 is Mickey 17. And coming in at number 1, unanimous number 1, is Deadpool 3.
It's a good list.
Yeah, we nailed it.
I'm not too upset about it. I got to speak about some of the honorables there that I think you maybe should have had on your list, but the 2 that were in my top 5, Polaris and Death of a Unicorn, made it, so I'm happy.
Let's get into Maxac.
And Maxac could be anything. It could be a boat. And Mac, new year, new us. What are your resolutions, my man?
I think I'm coming around on not really believing on a New Year's resolution. I don't like setting myself up for failure, if that makes sense. You know, if I'm going to do something, I'll go do it, but I don't want to be like, this year I got to do this. And then at the end of the year, if I don't do it, it's like, oh, what the fuck was the point of that? So I don't really subscribe to these things, but in general, I would like to live a healthier life. I think we all would.
So I plan on posting clips that actually fit on Instagram. Apparently on Instagram, you can only post clips that are 90 seconds or fewer.
I just thought you were getting lazy.
And I didn't realize that. And then on Christmas Day, maybe, or like one of those days,
It was
I looked
pretty
up,
recent. Yeah.
and I'm like, wait a second, why is it cutting off here? And then I watched like 5 prior ones, and I'm like, these are cutting off mid-sentence. And then
Yes.
I texted Mac, and I'm like, hey, apparently you can only do this on Instagram. And then he said, oh, I thought you knew.
Yeah, I figured you were just like, it's got a good blurb. It's a good tease for the episode.
No, bad. They were all bad. I deleted them. I'm slowly reposting them on like Fridays as like a whole different thing.
Sure.
Very disappointed in myself. But
all right, what are you
one
gonna
of
do?
my New Year's resolutions, Mac, is as a show, we have fallen apart. We are in the deepest of despairs right now.
Okay.
And what I've realized is it doesn't matter. None of this matters.
All right. Yeah. I think we can all agree on that. Nothing matters.
So what
Do
I'll
what
be
you want.
doing is I'm going to be posting at least 2 clips a week. I have made that a priority of mine.
Good on you.
Maybe 3. And since no one cares about the show, I'm going to get real fucking weird, dude.
Ah, love it. Love that. Got
Let's bring
nothing
me
to
back.
lose.
Yeah.
We have absolutely nothing to lose.
I've been playing it straight for a while.
You have.
Okay?
You have. And you have not been rewarded.
No. It's time to just
fuck it.
Just let it fly.
Let's see if we can go viral. And by viral, I mean 200 views. Yeah.
We live around 200 now. So
we get some. We get some. I don't TikTok. I don't understand TikTok because I scroll all day long on TikTok. It's what? Here's my New Year's resolution. I'm gonna scroll less on TikTok. Sure, why not? I come across these podcasts, Q, that like I don't know how they do full episodes based on the conversation they post. I'm convinced that there are podcasts out there that record for like 8 minutes and just post like a 2-minute ridiculous clip of a dumbass conversation they had. Now, again, we have plenty of dumbass conversations.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the ones I come across, I don't know how they have a full podcast. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
So I would like to start doing that ourselves going forward.
All right.
We always have a segment called Let's Talk, and we spell it TOK.
Okay. now you're really pushing it. Really
there we go.
The boundaries there. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Royalty free, fucking public domain shit. Let's just fucking get it.
Just really go at it.
Yeah. All right. So that'll do it for this episode. Check us out by the end of the week for maybe my favorite episode of the year. I think people love the movie draft. I think the awards are my favorite episode. I have already
usually come up with 5 new awards every year.
I've done my rough draft, yes, of what I want to do. I still need to do more because I just saw the holdovers and I fucking love it.
Isn't it really good?
It's such like tip to tail, just such a good story. Like
I didn't realize how much I liked it until it was over.
They don't venture away from what the story is. It's just so focused and character driven, and they resolve all their stories so well.
It's a really good movie.
I love it. I love it.
I really enjoyed it.
Mount Rushmore? I think so.
Oh, so I was toying. So I had it. I think I have it. Fuck, did I have it 7th? But after my top 3, it's like 4 to like 8 are all in the same range pretty much. So I got to think about that. Yeah.
I'll also
still got a couple movies to get to as well.
When trying to figure out if it's a Christmas classic, I need to figure out if I want to rewatch it next year because that kind of plays into it being a classic, especially a Christmas classic.
Sure.
Of like, you want to rewatch it every year. I'm not sure I'm going to want to rewatch this every year.
It did a really, really good job of being relatable. There's something in that movie that anyone could kind of grab onto there. And that Giamatti was great, but the
kid's great.
Oh, the kid's so good. So and the cook, she was great.
Like,
it was just, it's really well done. That's so when you texted me, so how was it? I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to sway either way. So I'm glad you liked it as much as I did.
Let's just say this. It will be nominated for the Boston, You're My Home Award.
I also, did you catch that they shot a scene outside of the chateau?
Me and my wife jumped out of bed. We're like, wow.
I've been to that restaurant 4,000 times in my life. So
I know.
I loved that. And I guess the school they used was the school that Davey teaches at, St. Mark's. So that's pretty cool too. So that definitely helped. Like, that's nice. That's good. I enjoyed it.
All right, so catch that at the end of the week. Tuesdays are Goose Days. Wait, you didn't give our TeePublic. I do TeePublic. You didn't do
right.
Where can you find us?
We're supposed to do first episode of the year off to a hot start. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter. Is that what I normally say? Twitter and Instagram at Mac and Goo Podcast. Every other platform is Mac &Goo. It's Mac Shift 7 Goo.
Hashtag
Facebook,
Save Our Boxers.
Facebook, Stitcher, Casper, Castbox, Spreaker, Google
Casper,
Play,
the friendly ghost.
We're on Spotify,
Uncle Stretch, Stinky, and Fat.
More importantly, Apple Podcasts. Get on there, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars if you do that. Free Mac and Goo t-shirt from the folks over at Watertown Sportswear. That's Watertown Sportswear on 34 Mount Street in Watertown. WatertownSportswear.com. Expert screen printing and embroidery.
Starring Christina Ricci. TeePublic.com. Go and buy more stuff.
Sure.
That'll do it for this episode. Thank you for joining us. Tuesdays are Goose Days. I abuse kangaroos.
Bye.
Please flip the cassette over to side B to continue the adventure.